Okay, the final step to complete our dress is to sew the hem. So I'm going to show you real quick. There's a fast way to hem it, which is what I do when I'm in a hurry, and that is you just take the end of the fabric, you fold it up twice, you press it, and you stitch right along that upper folded edge. The disadvantage to that is it does have stitching that shows through on the front side. So what I'm going to show you now is a blind hem, which takes just a little bit longer, but most machines do come with a blind hem stitch, and when you do this, the stitching on the front is almost invisible. So the first thing you're going to need to do a blind hem is you're going to press your hem about 3/8 to 1/2 inch to the wrong side. And you want to do this all the way around. And then once you've pressed around once, you're going to want to come up about 3/4 inch to 1 inch, however much of a hem you want. It's always a good idea to try your dress on before you do this step so that you can mark how much you want to hem. Because if you're short like me, you hem more. So press it up again and iron all the way around. There are also tools like hem gauges, or you can use a ruler, or you can even just make a mark on a piece of cardstock so that you know that you're getting the same depth of hem all the way around your dress. I'm eyeballing this one. So next what you want to do is we're going to stitch right along this folded edge. We're going to use a basting stitch because this stitching is eventually going to come out. We're not going to be leaving it in. Okay, you do not want to overlap your basting stitches. So once we've basted all the way around, what we're going to do is we're going to come back to the ironing board, and we want to press our hem this way. So we're pulling back to that basting stitch and unrolling this fabric as much as we can and then pressing it flat. So once you've got all of the hem pressed this way, we're going to go over to the machine to do a blind stitch. And the reason a blind stitch ends up looking almost invisible on the front is because the majority of the stitching is going to take place on this folded over part, and it will never be seen on the front. So you want to line the seam up with the center of your presser foot, and then go ahead and lower that. And select your blind stitch, and then you'll see what it's going to do here. Let me realign it. So you want the stitching to end up, there we go, all on the right, on the side of the fabric here. And then when it every so often it'll stitch 3 straight stitches, and then it'll jump over and do 1 zigzag onto this, which those zigzags are what holds up the hem. So when it jumps over to the left, you want it to barely touch that other part of fabric. And just stop when you get back to where you started. So you can see all of the stitching that we did. The majority was on this part here, and only the tiniest bit, few threads, got caught from the side that's going to be visible from the front of the garment. So the next step is going to be to turn this right side out again. and you want to find where you started basting and start pulling out those basting threads. Don't forget the ones on the back side too. Once you've got all of those basting threads pulled out, you can barely see that every so often there's a tiny little vertical stitch there. And if I had used blue thread that had blended in better with this, you would probably not be able to see those at all. And that's the blind hem. So the last step with that is you do want to go ahead and give it another press so that that crease from where the basting stitches were goes away. So there we go. There's a nice blind hem, and your Leralynn dress is finished.